And we've done the record of attendance. I guess we should introduce, we've got two folks from Cornell as a class of some sort. You want to just quickly introduce yourselves?
And name the class.
We are the Conservation Board, and we'll go do that in a moment.
I was the project management class.
Project management, okay.
And this is Eric, that's Kevin.
Eric and Kevin, okay, great. And introduce
Welcome.
yourself. You-
I'm
Yeah.
Evan Carpenter and Chair of the Ag Advisory Committee.
Here to make a short presentation.
Yep, very short.
So should we introduce ourselves to you?
Yeah, we should just go right around.
So I'm Nancy Munkenbach. I have a sheep farm.
Craig Scott.
Lawrence Farling, Deputy Town Clerk.
I am Chan Dudici. I'm president.
He works for the DEC too.
I mean,
No, he works at official level, sir. Not relevant to this group.
right. I'm a co-chair. My co is not here at the moment yet.
She's
You see, there she is, there she is. Sorry, I'm not reading names. And then you guys want to quickly go around and just tell who you are, because we've got several new people, and then we've got Robin here as well.
Andrew Miller, member of the board.
I'm Steve Bisson, also a member of the board.
Kate McKee.
Spring,
I'm Jean Grace. I am one of the co-chairs with Anne.
Right.
I'm Spring, and I am the liaison for the town board.
Yeah.
I'm Robin. I'm a resident on Ed Hill Road, a neighbor of Anne's. And I work for Cornell as a grant coordinator.
You're concerned about Trillium Woods.
Tim Woods, member of the board.
Great. Are we missing anybody new? All right.
So sheep farm.
All right, so let's get started then on we have a fairly short agenda overall. There was a busy person. Lauren was busy and couldn't finish the minutes in time, so we'll just slide on over that and do that next time. Anybody got additions to the agenda that you don't see here? No. All right. We got the planning board report some time ago. And I can give you quickly what the climate action, so you have that in hard copy. Whether we need to discuss, anybody got any questions or points that we want to take back? Okay. The climate action committee, I thought I'd just quickly say what we did this month. First, we just wrote a letter backing the data center moratorium, or the law against them bans, and filled up to just underline that.
Did we mention they passed it? Should we mention they passed it?
Oh, yeah.
At the last meeting?
And they did pass it. So we're all good. I mean, we just thought it was good to support it. And I just want to remind everybody again, 18th of April is the Repair Cafe. And we don't have enough fixers yet, people who want to sign up to assist with the repairs of things. And I would solicit anybody who knows somebody who likes to fix lamps, electrical stuff, and people who really enjoy helping people out with their cell phones is something that we discovered we really needed, and iPads.
What was that date?
18th of April, it's a Saturday.
By helping, you also mean like just being able to use it properly?
And have it, and telling people, so you actually know the sequence rather than, oh, I know I can do this somehow.
Yeah.
That's in the basement of the church.
It's going to be, yeah, it's the, well, no, it's the new community. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an old church.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the church,
Yes.
it is the church.
The Methodist church.
So there's a planting scheduled in May for the planting of one of those microforests, one of those Japanese microforests by the cement factory.
What?
by the old cement factory.
Oh, okay.
What's it Japanese?
It's,
Microforce.
it's, what do they call them? There's a special name for them. Anyway, they're essentially a very intense, close-spaced planting of small trees and things that grows sort of like a.
You're gonna have a forest of bonsai?
It's a little bonsai-ish in its ideas, and it's not gonna be a big, lush, high canopy forest at any point, but if you want to put some native vegetation in fast and grow up essentially woody vegetation.
So they want to make a,
And it
like a hedgerow, what do they call those things when they?
essentially take up some space that's otherwise kind of an eyesore and.
Thinking
I
that they're throwing Brer Rabbit in it?
suspect there will be rabbits in it, and I think that what they haven't thought about is what the rabbits would do to the saplings in a day like this, but that will be.
It's mostly shrubs, it's not tree species.
Hmm?
It's not tree species, it's shrubs.
It includes some tree
So how do they
species.
stay short?
I think they're just so in close packed, they grow slowly. So it's not just shrubs, is my understanding,
But you can have shorter trees.
because it's not like a hedge.
That's not a tree. I mean, trees are over a certain height, they become trees, otherwise they're
I
shrubs.
mean, you don't, they're.
Is an apple tree a shrub or a tree? It doesn't grow over 50 feet tall.
I think hawthorns are fairly short, but
They're,
We looked at this,
It's very-
at some.
we
point.
did, I remember seeing
So
some.
Miyawaki Forest.
Forest or something like that, yeah. And
We'll
the
find
species are fairly carefully selected and whatnot, and then quite closely. I
the deer
remember,
might keep them short.
This climate action?
yeah, the Climate Action
That's been
Committee,
brought
it's,
Sponsored for this.
they're involved, some of the members are,
What's
Alice
point
Green
of it?
is sort of involved in it.
What's the point of it?
The point of it in this case is to make a natural vegetation area that is currently not, this kind of an eyesore.
Oh, okay, so they want to use specifically native species then,
I
right?
think this all native species.
All native species, so
And there's
service
somebody
berry and
in
things
it, I
like
think
that.
that's interested in these too as well. Trying to remember all the people that were involved. This is going back like months and months.
Yeah, well, it takes a while to get
But
all
I
this
can
stuff.
get the details. Anybody?
We'll find out
And
in
in
time.
May, I will have an announcement of the date, so you can go out and actually see it and make snide comments if you wish.
That's the reservoir.
That should be off the record, Lauren.
Comments, we'll just go out and delight.
Yes, we'll be appreciative. No, I mean, it sounds like a good place to put it.
Can't be worse than the plantings they did around the old, the high-speed internet hub on Pigney Road. There's just a box there and they planted some shrubs around, they're all non-native and they're all dead and they're.
Well, I suppose that's a positive when you're doing a non-native.
It's positive that they died, but it's just pathetic that it was eaten. And there was a sign there, you know, identifying that it was dried.
Oh, okay.
Embarrassing, I have a picture of it somewhere.
Right, well, in that case,
We should get the Dryden Beautification Committee out there. That'll,
Thanks.
and the only other thing that came up, and I, just because, you know, we're all worried about developments of various kinds and good and bad. There was a report, and this was sort of unclear, so we discussed it, but nobody was getting real clear on it. There's somebody somewhere near the old NYSEG building on 366 and 13 comes together. There's an owner hoping to develop a little hub of actually, this came up because of the housing issues and major development issues and whatnot. More of a hub of close-spaced housing, affordable housing, with also a surround of other appropriate businesses to support local people. Sounded aspirational.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's happened. I don't know what their stage is and submitting this to for.
and exactly where around it is.
It's somewhere quite close to the old NYSEG building, and we're 366.
But it's
13.
probably more, is it more down or is it more up on 366 towards Cornell?
No, it's right near where, 13 meets 366.
Okay, so right,
That's right.
because there's where the plantations was, that's getting developed. Some of that is already.
So 13 comes off, 13 comes on, 13 goes off, and there's the,
Oh, there's
big
a,
piece
oh.
right there.
okay,
We're
that,
talking about east of, on the village, Dryden Village side of there,
yeah,
okay? On the lower side of the road, there's about 100 acres that has grown up to trees, used to be
I
farmed
think that's what it was.
40 years ago.
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh. The
So.
Leonardo
nobody showed up
property.
or anything like that, so I can't tell you the
Mm.
extent of everything, but.
So my understanding, and maybe there's more has happened since, was the housing committee wanted to do a study. I think they were trying to get a grant to do a study of the potential use for that in that space. But my understanding was there wasn't necessarily anyone interested in doing a development there. It was more they're trying to understand if that's an opportunity for that location. So maybe more has happened in the last month or so since last I heard, but if that's helpful, that was my understanding from Leonardo.
Well, I don't want to say that I have, up to date, or I don't even know the date of the knowledge, but what was reported last week at the Climate Action Committee was that the owner is interested. So,
No, that's great to know. Thanks.
yeah.
Commercial.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, it would be, it was sort of in contrast to the kind of housing development that we were currently worrying about in the
Mixed use,
Philly Woods Farm.
yeah.
And that's all I have, so I should shut up. They're all very. Anybody else, any other groups other than coming around to the? I think at this point, it's a appropriate moment to turn it over to you, Evan, to talk about the Ag Committee.
Okay. This is a resolution. We wrote a couple different people wrote resolutions. Coming at it from two different directions with the same idea of coming up with a moratorium. And then a week ago, we picked them apart and tossed a few of the whereases out and rewrote it and this is what we came up with. And we presented it to the town board last Thursday night. And they received it, I guess. I'm not exactly sure what the official term is, but they didn't laugh and toss it in the trash, I don't think.
Couple of questions on it.
There were some questions.
I felt it was kind of a lukewarm.
Reception.
Yeah.
I thought they were cautious for legal matters as to the grounds under which they would be able to issue a moratorium, was my impression.
But the town has issued temporary moratoriums on several other, be it windmills, be it solar, be it whatever. They started out with a moratorium. I mean, there was a moratorium on data centers.
Right.
And the Ag Committee felt that this was an appropriate time to be doing a moratorium on developments while we were trying to come up with a way of helping the ZAG group to rewrite the zoning. And
So if it helps any, please know. I mean, we spent weeks, if not a couple months, understanding what was going on before we passed the resolution for the data center moratorium.
Yep.
So Thursday for me was the first time I'd heard about it at all. So it just wasn't information, like I haven't had time to understand or learn more. So I don't want you to feel like it was a lukewarm reception. It was genuinely like, okay, we got to get smart and understand this a lot more. But it's not something we can just do without understanding. And working with the lawyers and doing those things. So I don't want you to feel like anyone was dismissive. I just don't want you to feel that way.
Yeah, we figured that the next phase of the life of this resolution would be the town board chatting with a lawyer. Is this feasible? Is this something that is allowed to be done? And then decide whether the town wants to try to do it.
But
The town board wants to try to do it.
as she said, before the town board would be able to make a decision, they're going to have to get a lot more input. So
Correct.
it would be more than the lawyer. It would be because the lawyer would say, yes, you can, but then they have to decide. It's going to take a lot of input before they'll be able to decide yes or no.
Input from what other information would you like? From the ag committee, from the state ag and markets?
So I can only speak for myself.
Okay.
Okay, only me. I need to get smarter. I mean, I saw your presentation, but I'm for me the kind of person who wants to go and like read up and understand more. Because if we're gonna advocate for you, we want to do it well.
Yep.
And I also am just the kind of person who's always going to ask those other questions, like if we do this, is there going to be unintended consequences? Which is why you heard me ask, like, will this push people to do more deforestation? Because if they can't build on farmland, is it going to have other consequences? Not saying it would, but it'll be good to research and see. We were explaining other communities have done the same thing, look at the impacts there and understand more there. And I think it'll be good for it to be discussed with the zoning board too, and where are they thinking for long-term impacts and things like that. This might be in alignment. So it's
Right.
For me, it's about getting smarter on. I
Right.
need to go and start Googling and reading up and understanding the bigger picture, because I know what you're saying about. I mean, I've seen some wonderful presentations about soil loss and different impacts. So I think it's a very creative approach, and I was really glad you brought it to us.
The ag committee's hope is that by passing a moratorium will give us the time to
Look closer.
look closer at how we would like to see the zoning laws written. Just like, let's take a pause, let's figure this out. How do we want to do it? Because everybody on the ag committee is, I think to a person, is opposed to the idea of telling a farmer what they can and cannot do with their land. You look at, I'll pick on Mix Brothers. They, were in the trucking business. They had dozers, they had backhoes, and then they decided we want to stay with the trucking, and they sold off their dozer assets. Okay. The town had nothing to say about that. Farmer Jim, his, grandpa had a livestock enterprise, and they had this pasture land. It wasn't good for cropping. The grandkids want to continue cropping, but they don't want the pasture land. Let's build that into development. Well, is that the right place for development? That's where the town zoning laws now begin to restrict what they can do with their unused asset, because it's land. So that's been a sticking point on zoning and farmers since zoning was invented. What can you do with your land? Well, wait a minute. I've been paying taxes on it. I bought it. I've been paying interest to the bank on it. It's my land. Can't I do with it as I want? No, the zoning laws say you can't. But Mix Brothers can sell their dozers without any restrictions, other than capital gains or whatever. But and
It sounds like you're making an argument for not having a moratorium.
well, that's the issue. We have been, but we also want to protect ag land.
Understood.
How do you do both at the same time?
Very tricky.
It's
Purchase of development rights was born of this.
was correct. And there is viable ag land at the corner of Mott Road and North Road and 13. Well, there are plans for that to be developed. Well, who's to say that that ag land should not be developed? It's right next to the village. It's got the ability to hook up sewer and water and all the other necessities for a development. Well,
That's what the plan is.
yeah, putting a development off on West Dryden somewhere really doesn't make sense for a dense development. Now a house lot, something like that is different, but a dense development will not work as conveniently out there for the community in general, which is what we're trying to, farmers understand that they've got to have the consumer there to sell goods to.
I think the zoning actually currently does encourage development in what they call the nodal areas.
That's
which
the
would be
objective.
the Mott Road area.
Correct.
And they somewhat discourage it, but like the high school road development were going to be the large individual lots, which is what that gray area.
Correct. How intense is that development for that site? Or for some of the other sites, and the idea is to try to protect, the Mott Road development is also right next to a functioning working dairy farm of Diedrichs. And Diedrichs have worked that property before.
And it's downhill from it, isn't it?
It's downhill from them. I mean, it's
one thing
across the road from them.
One thing I discovered at my farm is that the odors from my farm do not affect me at my house or my backyard.
But downwind,
my neighbors downhill across the street, it's a whole nother thing. And she was saying, Nancy, it's really smell. What are you doing? This really smells. I had to go down to her yard to realize that they smell all this stuff. So I have to be, now I'm a lot more careful about if I'm cleaning out my barn and putting my manure somewhere to try and put it where I have a place where it can come down, because apparently these odors are heavy, but they will come down to the area behind my barn. There's sort of a little dip, and they'll go down there, and it dissipates a lot more down there to sort of save my neighbors. But man, they go down, and I'm wondering what the town and the zoning is going to want to think about. Odor control. We have noise ordinances, but
right.
But
the right to farm laws by the state.
You can have it.
That happens.
And one thing I was concerned about with like the Heil Road development thing is they would, if anybody bought the property, they have to be notified of right to farm, but no one tells them that they're downhill from a major odor.
Right.
So, and if most of those purchasers will probably, well, I don't know about most, but a number of those purchasers will be remote, buy through Zillow or whatever, perhaps never visit the property until they've bought it. They could even arrange to have a house built before they show up. And then they find that there's major odors. And it seems like it would behoove us to have some notification to any potential buyers of this.
I can fill them in. I live right there.
Right.
And you're downhill. I noted you were downhill. I was thinking
now all those, you signed that document saying that you accept that there's going to be farming activity in the neighborhood because right to farm, et cetera, et cetera. But that's when you're at the closing and you're signing 50 different pages of stuff and you've got no idea what that was.
Yeah.
And then somebody's cleaning out the manure lagoon and spreading it in back of your house. And you're like, what on earth is this smell? It wasn't here when I signed all the papers.
And you're trying to have a graduation party.
Yeah. Oops. Sorry.
I was
Well, you
really
had the
careful.
dream of moving to the country.
Yep,
So now you've learned what that
now you know what dairy air really is like.
So, yeah, it's a sticky wicket, but something, particularly that particular development needs some thought. And I was thinking if we can get the planning board to address it as a conservation development in the event that these developers, well, if it does get developed, do it as a conservation development with odor in mind. Which would mean that the housing should all be on that, what's the next road from High School?
I mean, Ed Hill, the one that goes into.
Ed Hill up here, High School this way, what's on this side? So across, on the far end of the property from your house,
Oh, down Fall Creek Road.
that's Fall Creek Road?
No,
Is it?
If you're, are you going north or south from High School?
Your house, you're on High School.
I'm on High School.
Okay, so and then you go down Ed Hill to where the other property line is.
Down which way?
Down to Fall Creek.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Oh,
that's,
And
if you
there's
put houses
two
down
dairy
there,
farms down there.
I was
Right.
looking at that, if you put houses down there, the odor issues would be greatly mitigated. A lot of
Actually
things.
actually not, because the property actually rolls this way. And so if you go toward Fall Creek,
It goes
you
down.
go this way. If you go toward me, you go that way.
But of course, the odor is more on your side. No?
Because they go right out, they go past the intersection toward Fall Creek.
And if you get down towards the
Well, I don't
bottom,
know, we
you've
can
got,
go, time to go down and check it out, because
I
the
think
silo's already there, and you get the silo smell right now.
well,
So,
they aren't open, they haven't opened it though.
they haven't
Okay.
opened it, and so what we don't know, I mean, what no one would know is what it will be like once they have 1,000 more cattle in there, which is what's coming in.
Right,
yeah,
but
But
the idea of the moratorium is not just for High School
Right.
Trillium Woods.
right.
It's,
in general.
there are
for the
many
soils-
other Trillium Woods locations around the town.
There's many other really.
Well, okay, not
soil.
Trillium Woods, okay, not Trillium Woods,
Unique
but
natural areas, but the.
yeah, unique natural areas
The farm.
and the quality land that we would like to be protecting.
Right, I mean, it's long been a problem between the comprehensive plan and the zoning. The zoning does not match the comprehensive plan.
The comprehensive plan identifies that as a low priority, one of the lowest priorities for development. It basically marks that, and it's on the other side of that.
But they can't tell someone what to do.
No, I'm just saying,
It's
you're
just,
saying
like, it's
Right,
such a
right.
problem,
Yes,
it's such a problem.
And it isn't as if we're newly assigning this as a low priority for development with conservable soils. That's in the comprehensive plan.
Mhm.
Somebody already determined that. The question is, what do you do about that in terms of making that an active part of the county planning as opposed to a passive part?
Can I also add, regarding the odor issue, the loss, say, of Trillium Woods, if that's all chopped down, that serves as a buffer, that helps control odor. It helps control, it impacts the climate, I would say.
Wind,
If
it
those trees were
definitely-
not there, there'd be an entirely new microclimate, I believe, just anecdotally.
It's
So I
gonna be
don't
a
know.
lot drier and a lot windier right up there.
Yes. And just, you think the snow on the road is bad now. Anyway, but yes, in support of the further exploration of the Ag Committee's visionary proposal.
I don't know. Put that in context. Jason was the one that came up with this idea for the moratorium. That's what he advised the Ag Committee to do.
because
Right.
it was,
Yeah,
2 meetings ago.
yeah,
He's the one that said he thought that a moratorium would solve or dilemma of trying to figure out how do we stop anything before we have a chance to figure out how we want to do it.
Yeah, and one of the things
But he wasn't at the town meeting.
No,
The other
not
night.
board meeting. Yeah.
Right, but he will be discussing it with.
Yes,
Yeah.
with the group, yes, he just wasn't able to be at that meeting.
I can think of other things I'd like to see the zoning change too. Because they've zoned a whole bunch, like right in Ellis Hollow there, the land around me that's good soils. And they've zoned rural residential, not ag. So it's zoned to be lots of little plots. That's what they zoned it to be. And although that it's all in ag district number 1. It strikes me as ludicrous that you can be in ag district number 1 and be zoned rural residential. So, but that was our previous planner who was heard to say that in 20 years there would be no ag in Dryden.
Right,
So he pushed for that kind of thing.
well, we still have as many cows in the town of Dryden as we did 100 years ago. 120 years
And not
ago,
as many farms.
not as many farms, but as many
Produce
cows.
more milk
We produce more milk and we've got as many cows,
and work about as many acres.
and yep.
And we probably have more sheep now.
And as of last night, we've got 3 more goats I learned by my neighbor. Accidental ones, the buck got out.
Oh,
Well, if they were born last night at 10 degrees, they're in a nice warm barn, I hope.
I met one in
Or-
somebody's,
Or maybe in somebody's kitchen.
Yeah,
he said they're doing okay.
I know how to put diapers on lambs.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we should, we should probably think about whether or not we want to at least say, does a moratorium seem like a reasonable step? Whether we can come to a conclusion we want to put out as a committee, but how do people feel? Those of you who have not opined, just what do you think of the proposal?
So nobody on Zoom wants to say?
Does anyone else have
Thank
any questions about if we had an 18-month moratorium, is that going to put things like Trillium Woods at higher risk because it'll be the only place people can build? I don't know. I'm just genuinely asking.
I don't think so.
Is that a
because
realistic worry?
the whole property, at the moment, the whole property goes as one property. And Trillium Woods is not the high, I don't think Trillium Woods is.
But that's just the one property. I meant townwide.
Right now, there is no application for development.
I think Crystal's point is if there's a moratorium on developing ag land, will that mean that people who want to develop will start dozing down woods in other places?
Right.
Yes, I mean, if there's a certain amount of development that's gonna happen in the town, they have to go somewhere else.
Well, so a whole bunch of the woods in this town is land that had been farmed. Well, back in the late 1800s, 90% of New York was deforested. So most of these woods are relatively new. And a whole bunch more started up in the 30s. So like this Mott Woods area, or not Mott Roads, the area past Niseg, pretty much all those woods, they're what, 30 years old? 40?
Yeah.
I mean, so I personally, I don't cry about those woods disappearing as woods.
But bear with me. So a huge driver behind reforesting back in the 1940s was actually soil loss and soil damage. So
well, that was out west. That was out west. They actually didn't have to reforest for soil maintenance in New York. They had to out west. It was primarily because of wind, because of plowing and wind. So they wanted foresting to break winds so that it wouldn't take dry soils airborne.
And also, if you were to go up on Beam Hill and walk through the state land that's up there and some of the private land, you would be able to, with a semi good eye, see lines of trees that were planted.
Oh,
there.
you're preaching
So
to the
that
choir.
was-
I know
was
that all
all done in the
well,
30s.
but it's still
Yes,
it's still forested land now
Right.
with animals and air and
Correct.
ecosystems
and those were open fields at the time, but on a steep slope and
Poor soils.
poor soils, and were forested to help protect the soils.
Well, and to be able to come up with something productive on those soils that
Correct.
they could do. I think some of the trees were non-native that they planted, but because of the Robert Wesley was pointing out to me that there's pines on part of Trillium Woods, one section that are planted. Some of those planted spruces. Anyway, he was saying they're not native, whatever it is.
They're
that's
Norway
native.
spruce,
Yeah, so
and they're European larch is a small patch of where, and there's a history there that I don't know, and I wish I knew why that little corner got planted that way.
but there's a lot of land, particularly in that area around NYSEG. You look, it isn't really planted. It
Just
was
grew up.
brush that grew up.
The birds planted it,
Yeah.
Just like what's happening in the Cook Farm.
unfortunately. Yes.
and we see that with a lot of our wetlands. They were farmland, and now over time they become wetlands. So I don't think none of these things are a bad thing, but I guess the question is what do we go based on what they are now, what they used to be? I mean, these I think are going to be important questions as we try to figure this out going forward.
Apparently
I
DEC
think
feels that if it became a wetland and it's a large enough area, then it is a wetland. They're protecting it. Is
It's
that
probably
right, Ken?
just drained. If it was farmland that went back to wetland, then it's got to have been drained because you can't put the water back. It wasn't as if the water regenerated. It was underneath something or diverted. So those were wetlands before they were farmlands, almost always.
Now, being farm-oriented committee, we were going with the prime and soils of statewide importance.
Right.
During the zoning rewrite, you can be putting in your input for conservation areas as well. I mean, that the moratorium is to slow the process down while we can get the rewrite right.
Yeah, to
Right
choose
for a
the
few
words.
years.
Time to figure it out.
Yeah.
Time to figure it out.
It's choosing the words. It's such a major thing to choose the words to use
Yeah.
for any project.
And people did a lot of the work in terms of looking at the whole area with respect to soils to write the comprehensive plan. I mean, a lot of this work is done. This isn't if we're saying, well, we got to go in and determine which soils.
Right, correct.
We got the
Correct.
maps.
It's just really tricky. I mean, none of the UNAs are in farm fields, but the farm fields have the soil protections. It's not going to be an easy needle to thread.
Right, which is why we're asking for 18 months to try to figure it out.
And one thing
And-
the 18-month moratorium would do would be force people to focus on it. Because the question has been there. It was there when they wrote the comprehensive plan. And they wrote some of the words in, yes, we want to do this. And they wrote nothing in as to how to accomplish that. It was too difficult to contemplate, so they didn't. If you have a moratorium, you're going to have people contemplating it.
Although they went ahead and they blocked off areas that they say this is a higher priority for development, this is a lower priority for development. So that's already in there, regardless of what you think about the soils.
Well, they did the nodal thing.
Yeah.
That wasn't too hard to do the nodal thing, although I remember
Well,
one of the
that's fine.
farmers in Etna who came and gave a very heartfelt, and she was just devastated because her farm was now in the nodal area. And she was kind of devastated about it. But
But I mean,
her
the
farm is still
farm,
farm.
the stuff that's essentially north of the Trillium Woods property, i.e. on the other side, that's more developable according to the comprehensive plan. That's farther from Dryden.
I'm not sure that I am not convinced that under the auspices of the previous planner that we actually got really good planning regarding agriculture. It was not a focus of his at all.
No, it really wasn't.
So
the zoning, I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to the zoning. So I'm assuming all this is coming to the zoning board, the zoning development team.
yes. So the zoning rewrite is going to be very, very crucial to this, but it's not only the town board that perhaps needs education on this, but also zoning that needs the education on this as to and a reason to focus on it. One thing the moratorium would do, as it did with the data center, it caused the zoning committee to focus on the problems and to focus on what words to use to describe things and where to put them in each section. What was the goal? To really specify what was the goal. But this will be a lot harder than trying to write a data center moratorium. It'd be much harder.
It's going to also force this board to think about what conservation means.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be nice to focus on it. And it would be nice if George France was doing very interesting things in Caroline. I think he'd be a good person to also come in to talk, to help decide what is the focus in various ways. And I would like, if you're doing this, I am biased, but to think of good ag land in terms of really good quality pasture lands as well as the arable croplands, because that's or not, I just maybe even not even pasture land, but you can, like I was saying, the sloped properties can be very useful. If you have the good soil, then you can work with it. I met some young farmers once who were looking for land and out towards Brooktondale. If you go Brooktondale out farther south, you get into really crappy soils. And I was saying, you're going to buy a place. I said the first thing you should look at, you should get a soil map. You should buy good soils. And they were so into all the stuff that said, oh, you can improve the soils. He says, oh, that won't matter. We're going to improve the soils. And I was thinking, to really improve soils, to make them good agricultural land, you have to personally create a major geological event. It just is not that simple.
A crusher run driveway will take a lot of improvement before it's going to grow carrots.
Well, even better were the people who out towards Trumansburg Way put their garden on top of the old railroad bed.
Well, it's well drained.
So they were dismayed when they put the Black Diamond Trail through there. Because they said, wait, but we were improving this for our vegetable garden. I was thinking, it was like, how much coal are you getting into your stuff? But Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Well, I presume that the order of business is going to be the planning board's gonna, I mean, the town board's gonna look at this first. And then I don't know whether, this is a good moment for us to think about wading in, but I guess it should allow the town board to go ahead a little bit on this and then. I don't know.
Or whether we want.
I think I would like to make a motion that we support the idea of a moratorium to do serious discussion about how we can get the comprehensive plans wording about protecting agricultural soils and conservation lands and have it actually shown in the zoning. That we'd support the plan to have it be a moratorium so that we can focus on that.
I would second that.
I would second that or back it.
So it needs to be worded better.
That's your job.
No, his job is to record it.
The motion is that the conservation board, if everybody, that we can,
We'll see if they approve it. The
Um,
conservation board supports
supports.
the effort for a moratorium as presented by the Ag Committee to allow the zoning group to find a way to get the protections of ag lands and conservation lands as presented in the comprehensive plan. Now I need to,
Maybe to develop a plan for
to get it to
aligning.
align.
Aligning.
So I
Zoning with the
got
concept.
myself into a phrase
The
problem.
comprehensive plan and the ag plan, and the natural resources.
That's true.
We all have them.
We all have it in
And
our
those
plans,
plans were all,
and they were all approved by the town board.
yeah.
Let's see how she made words out of that. Because
So I've simplified it, but I want to put those other, the last part is maybe supports the moratorium as presented by the Ag Committee to allow the zoning group to develop a plan for aligning zoning with the comprehensive plan, especially
as regards,
in regard to ag land
Protecting.
and ag and conservation or and
ag lands and
natural areas
conservation
for
lands.
conservation or something.
As also stated in the ag plan and the conservation plan. Yes.
I think we're gonna leave it, well, yeah. Yeah, it's so easy, right?
I think it's important to.
Yeah, that they actually, that
Because
they go and look,
actually-
they may not have ever looked at those ag
But they
plans and
can't-
conservation plans.
They accepted them.
They accepted them and then filed them.
So, not only with the comprehensive plan, especially in regard to the statements in there about
No, just,
or in regard to agriculture,
protection of agricultural lands and conservation issues.
lands and conservation
Issues,
objectives or issues.
objectives is better than issues.
Okay, so what I have now is the Conservation Board supports the moratorium as presented by the Ag Committee to allow zoning to develop a plan for aligning the zoning, the township zoning, with the comprehensive plan, especially in regard to the protection of agricultural lands and conservation objectives.
Sounds good. Did it sound good to you guys? How do you think, Andrew? Did it sound good to you? Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
All right, I've got it written. I'll get it typed up.
Wait, so now we have to actually vote.
So
Yeah, I know.
Nancy,
Can I ask a question? What Can someone just clarify a moratorium? We're talking about asking for a moratorium for any development. So this will be stopping
Major.
any development in the town?
Maybe
No, only on
Any,
on agricultural lands that have soils, prime soils or soils of statewide importance.
but it's not all development, it's major subdivisions.
Yeah,
Okay.
Is
But
what
and
we-
then we're adding in, we also want that to extend to conservation.
we want during the moratorium, we want the zoning people to use that time to address the ag and the conservation.
But we're not asking
alignment.
for the moratorium to include
No, we're not
land
asking
that
for the
has
moratorium
conservation
to
value.
include conservation, where the moratorium would not be for conservation lands.
We're supporting their,
We're supporting
what they
theirs,
have,
which was,
what we just threw in. the
And then
conservation.
asking that conservation lands and all that be included in the conversation we have while this moratorium is putting a pause on
correct.
development. Okay. Thank you.
And it specifically states large subdivisions, so if
Yep,
a
major
farmer wants to put
subdivisions.
a garage on his property, that's not gonna stop him.
No.
Right,
Right.
or somebody to build just up a
Single
house,
Yeah.
a house on a house lot,
or
Somebody can-
extension of farm buildings that go out on a patch of ground.
right,
Okay.
any of that, yep.
Or farm worker housing.
Hopefully they don't float them out on a wetland.
So I've got a motion and a second on that.
Right? So maybe, any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
I,
All right,
I,
Jean, can we see you?
yep.
Okay,
And,
all right. That seems to
It's
be,
unanimous.
any nays that I'm not picking up? No abstentions. Okay. All right. We got it.
Thank you.
Thank you for writing that.
All right, I will
Making
write
notes.
that up and,
Well,
thanks, Evan.
Lauren will write it up.
yeah, but I've got the wording here. So it'll come to you tonight
Okay.
before I forget.
No, it's not.
Pass it on to the, you'll pass it on to the town
Town
board,
board, okay.
probably the planning board too, they should probably see it. I think everybody saw this resolution from
Right,
the ag committee, I think that went to everybody.
You're,
Town board
you're
and
presenting to the planning board
Thursday,
Thursday.
Yep.
So I'll send it to town board, planning board.
Yeah.
Zoning
zoning, yeah. I would
Yeah.
think- I don't.
the town board should already have a copy
But
of this, but I'm talking about
of
this.
this, yes.
zoning would be the zoning advisory group, right? Yeah,
Zag.
Tony, yeah,
Zag.
so but Tony is planning board.
Yes.
You can still go to the Zag, because they're.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Okay, those
so
three.
specifically the ZAG.
Yeah, the ZAG should definitely get it.
As far as I'm concerned, we should send it to everybody,
Yeah,
housing people too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be good to send it to housing because housing's expecting that affordable housing is going to be the next focus for the ZAG. So if this might be because I don't know if they can, we'll see. I don't know how much that committee can do in a year. So I think it'd be good for them to know the priority is
Well, they won't be
there's-
changing
there-
priority until the town board does it.
right. It's just good for them to know that there's more conversations going on than that there may be
Nobody's
other
gonna be so happy.
competition for the priority for the coming year.
Let's
Yeah.
replan the comprehensive plan, basically.
So would this resolution, or would this moratorium affect this potential development,
It wouldn't happen in time, actually.
It depends on when
they,
Give them an application.
there is no submit, so no submission.
And
they-
actually,
So
if they do a moratorium before they submit, an
If
application.
they submit, because actually.
I can see
I-
when lawyers would be involved, because I could see a possibility for a lawsuit or something, saying, we bought this with this, there was no.
Well,
moratorium
yeah,
here."
It hasn't closed, has it?
They have not,
It's a contingency.
If the
Right.
contingency, they can do what they want to on it.
and
They're aware that there's issue. He was very surprised to the person from the developer who came was surprised at things because they developed
Mill Creek.
Caswell.
Yeah,
They did
Mill
the
Creek.
Caswell development. And really they're very nice people. And as he left, I said be in your bonnet that to withdraw the offer. Because, I was explaining some of what was going on with others attempting to purchase it to save it, if you will. And yeah, so I don't know what they're going to do, but certainly he wasn't happy that when I spoke to the board about it, the planning board, I said, you have the tool to do a conservation development, to have that be forced
I
on.
mean, they could put a lot of restrictions on
And
it.
this company is not one to do that kind of development, really. They specialize in buying large plots and
So-
selling smaller subplot, like 10 to 20 acre plots. That's what they specialize in.
And they don't do anything else. They just sell the land. They just-
Right, and they don't develop it, actually.
No,
They
so-
just they're a company that subdivides. And if we say it needs to be a conservation subdivision, it doesn't fit in with what they normally do. So, and they're also aware that other people are interested in buying it to keep it in the area. And I think they're not interested in having to do something where they have to present at a meeting to the planning board with half the town there objecting. So we'll see what they do. But the other thing is that the owner of the guy, that he's in bad shape and recovering. He ended up badly injuring himself and with a collapsed lung that took 3 days to reinflate. It was great.
Should be
pain.
on public record. Unless it's in the newspaper or something, you don't need to be sharing information.
So-
People's medical issues. in the public.
No details. Even though it's recorded.
That's why I'm suggesting we should stop that conversation.
Okay. Yeah, so we don't know what they're gonna do. But nothing's finalized. From anybody's point of view at this point, everything's floating.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah,
I don't have all the documentation that you've sent out to us in front of me. My question is there a official ecological inventory of the Trillium Woods area that we can use in making determinations from a legal standpoint? So, where we know what's there, where it is, and what we want to protect.
there's a species of violet was determined. I probably know where it is, roughly speaking.
The UNA probably.
It's the UNA folks have done the determination and looked for protected species beyond just wildflowers, which are also protected.
There's also a fir swamp.
And the fir tree swamp has a globe flower, or had 20 years ago. Now that needs to be re-inventoried because the globe flower was there.
But the person from,
Matt Young,
yeah,
who talked about it.
talked about the fir swamp and fir tree swamp, and he said that was probably number 1 or number 2 in central New York of
Right, as an example of that kind of.
how good it is. Yeah.
And the fir trees are there. I've got pictures on my cell phone if you want to, there's also supposed to be some additional, but that has not, neither of these inventories are recent.
So if we're going to be, as a board, making environmental arguments to protect this area, I think we should have more specific information, more current information.
Actually, the UNAs were just redone.
They were
So there would-
redrawn.
Yeah, they were redrawn. The borders were redrawn,
Right.
but they were not re-inventoried.
Do you think, Steve, that's something that the team would be willing to do? Would be to inventory that one in the near future?
Only if
I mean,
they've got the
I don't.
funding. Only if they had the funding to do it, because it would be pretty elaborate. to have to
How
do
can
it.
you redraw a boundary if you don't have a concept that something exists? When you say, I can understand not having an inventory of how many or where all of them are, but
They cleaned up the existing mapping with much better technology,
Right.
but that didn't mean that they like walked through like and did like a grid check of inside each space.
Right. Yeah, it was more like you could tell that this was a field, this was the woods, and the UNA is about a woods. And so you don't have to have that in there, or somebody's yard. You don't have to have that in as part of the UNA. So they just kind of cleaned up those boundaries so it did not include those things.
When it comes to Trillium Woods, there's no, you literally step in and step out. It's not exactly hard.
that one isn't. No, I was thinking in terms of the
And the
globe flower. I thought somebody at the meeting was saying they had seen the thing is, are there any globe flowers there now?
This is the thing is.
And I
not
think
quite
someone
clear
said
on
they
it. It's
were.
like- it's a decade or more ago that it was determined to be there. No one has gone in
No
there.
one's seen since then.
And I know perfectly well no one's gone in there. The owners are fairly.
Yeah, and it's not a quick thing. You have to get owner permission and all of these things because it's a big process. Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it possible that we might approach College of Natural Resources at Cornell and find if there's any senior students or graduate students that might be interested in conducting such a environmental inventory of the property?
I would think that the owners would not be keen on the permission for that, though, since
Well,
they're
we don't
more
till we
keen
ask.
on having the subdivision.
Well, we won't know until we ask.
The owners have been fine about people walking into Trillium Woods if they ask. We've asked, other people have gone in there. It's not posted, so in fact, legally, I think there's some legal things if you don't post it.
Legally you can get on there, but then if
Yeah.
somebody says something, then you should. But of course, that's always the case. If you're on someone else's property and they tell you to leave, you should leave.
Nobody's going in there for a few months, I'm telling you, because I've been cross-country skiing back in that general area. And you're not gonna safely get in there. But I think Matt Young has a plan to go back in there and look for it, because he's one of the people that knew where it was, roughly speaking. The actual fir tree swamp is not nearly as big as the wetland. I mean, the first tree swamp is a small.
Well, can we approach the owners and ask for permission or get them to be sympathetic to what our efforts are?
The owners are a family at the moment, and so there's a number of relatives, 2 or 3, and they're not all on the same page, is my understanding. That's all I know, and I don't want to go further in this conversation because everything else I know is hearsay.
Well, from my perspective, we need to get a more firm knowledge of what the environment actually is. And if we can do that with students that can conduct that inventory, that's great. If we can talk to the family and get a consensus of that family that this is a good thing to protect this environment, that's all for the better. That meets our goals as a conservation board.
So Tim, I agree with you, but I gotta ask everybody, because we're officially a government body sitting here. I know that the UNA process with the county that Steve can talk about better detail than me because it's been too many years for me. Is a formal process where they've got the legal processes in place to get formal permission, and if there's funding, like he said, to go in and do this. I personally am not comfortable that this committee is empowered to go out and do a certain land survey without the making sure that things are formally set up. Just, because we're a formal government entity, I don't know if others who've been on this board longer might know something I don't know, but we would definitely, I feel like, if we were going to try to do that, we would need to coordinate it with, the planner and make sure that we're legally good to go.
Well, we want to
Absolutely.
coordinate with the
Absolutely.
EMC and the UNA group. So I would, that's where it should start. It should go back to them to reassess.
Not disagreeing with you, Tim. I'm just saying I want to make sure we
With
do
respect
it.
to the wetland,
No, if we're gonna do this, we need to do it absolutely by the book, absolutely.
yeah, and with respect to the wetland, it's in the wetland, so you're not gonna be actually building on it anyway. The question is, does it get owned and who owns it and sort of thing.
I think that's part of the DEC protected wetland.
Yeah, it is.
Too, so.
It is.
So no one's, it's the globe flowers, and if it's there, is not threatened.
Having regulatory restrictions doesn't protect it necessarily.
Right.
So in our drainage project along Johnson Road, we've been dealing with DEC and Army Corps for over a year now, so I've got a good handle on that approach. But I agree with the proposal that those people at EMC or deal with UNAs. If that's their official duty, then let's get them on board and get this done properly.
Well, it is something I could bring up at the next UNA meeting and, ask them, do we want to, try to get funding to, figure out what the content of these UNAs are. We've been kind of talking about that as we just recently wrapped up all of the borders for all the different UNAs, the improved borders. So now the next step would be to try and improve and update the content of these UNAs. So that is something I could bring up and possibly to try and get these put on top of a priority list. But even if we decide to go ahead with this, I don't think it's going to happen for, at least a year, just because of the way the funding works. So, but I could ask and find out.
Okay.
Okay. Any other points of discussion around this general topic? All right, then we should move along. That was our new business. And the old business, well, I think we've sort of done the Trillium Woods Farm development proposal also in doing that. I did bring the idea of, went back to the Climate Action Committee with idea of co-meetings with them sometime, and I think they agree that sometime later in the spring, after the Repair Cafe and things like that have happened. So, sort of May, June kind of things. Timing and it would be a large enough group. We'd need to get a larger room than this. We'd probably have to get the courtroom or something like that, a group and meet officially. And the question really is whether or not some of us could meet on the third Tuesday if we wanted to keep it on one of our things. Or they could meet on the fourth Tuesday, or the last Tuesday. So we have, one of us is going to have to adjust. I think I'm adjustable in either direction. And if is anybody here unlikely to be able to move to a new Tuesday in the month by a week? That sound reasonable. All right, let's just say that we will try to move just to make sure that we've got one group. And if nobody objects, I will take it back to them to say, okay, let's think about our May or June meetings. And we'll go from there. Okay,
We also meet earlier.
they meet a little earlier, they meet at 5, but I think they were flexible. There was one time a bunch of people went out to the Mexican place and that sort of thing, so I can move everybody maybe a little later, we could compromise and say 6 or something like that. And I'll probably start that off and then we can circulate around the entire membership and get some agreement. We had talked about high school reps, and I think somebody was going to talk to the high school.
Sorry, that wasn't my duty, and I haven't had a chance to reach out, but I will this week. We were on break and everything, but
Sure.
I will check in with that.
Okay, all right. Still in our future. And then also just to say, we talked about having some spring oriented newsletter idea. I haven't had any great ideas in that interim. But I welcome them. We welcome them. We need to think about developing something for our newsletter, conservation-y or whatever. Jean, I don't know if you had any thoughts or ideas from that point of view. Anything about tree planting in the spring that we could take up?
Well, when we finally get a date for our kind of ribbon cutting for the planting and benches, I could do a little article on that. But I did reach out to Gwen. I'm waiting to hear back to confirm a date in May with her, and then we can move forward from there.
Did you ever get that next tree, Jean? The linden?
No, I didn't. I just ran out of time, and then it just got so cold so fast in the fall. Like usually we have a little more breathing room, but like December hit and it was like full on winter. So I can check in with Plantsman again in the spring, and we have plenty out there, so we don't really need it. But yeah, I never got that last one.
Well, as soon as we melt, I'm happy to go stick something in the ground. We've got a hole full of snow.
Full of water.
And water. It will be watery.
Keepers in the spring.
Yeah.
Like on a pool.
We can put some frogs in there just to see if we can train them to come back. Okay, I'm out of topics here. Anybody else got something that they must discuss that they have just remembered? No? Okay. Anybody want to adjourn the meeting and
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
We've got seconds everywhere. All right, we are adjourned.
Bye.
I don't expect
All right.
anything to object.
Thanks.
Okay.
Are you gonna be able to make your